has been rapid, and today the project is due for commissioning by President Muhammadu Buhari.
We are not 100% ready for commissioning, but if we are not around commissioning this, we are between 89 to 90% ready for commissioning. We hope that in the next 2-3 weeks we will be completely ready for commissioning, by which time we will have gotten a date from the President or from the Office of the President. One thing that is clear is that by the time they give us a date, we will be working in ready for commissioning.
With this present state, the new wind breezing along the corridor is no longer that of hope, but actuality.
Meaningful development already starting with real estate businesses, telecom businesses bringing mass. You see outdoor advertising, everything coming around the corridor because of new life is being open to Lagosian and reducing the gap between Lagos and Ibadan.
You get tired, you get exhausted, you are worrying about a lot about things. But if you now consider that, you can use the train, there are a lot of things. One, you can actually work while on board the train. Then another thing is that it gets cars off the road. It will get cars off the road. So when cars are off the road, we would have less pollution.
The spectrum of ready-made opportunities available along the axis was further boosted when the length of the track was extended by 8.7 kilometers to unlock the ever-busy Apapa trade corridor. Already, experts are emphasizing the prospects of experiencing timely delivery and evacuation of cargoes.
Somebody in Kaduna, in Port Harcourt, can actually easily move his goods, and it's cheaper. It's part of, how to make the economy strong and vibrant.
Apapa, although Nigeria's busiest trade corridor, is plagued with gridlock caused by huge volume of trucks that commute the axis every day, with yard occupancy almost getting to the peak. This explains why a report published by the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry indicates that the country loses 6.7 trillion naira to congestion annually.
We have seen rail evacuating cargo now. Very soon, you will see 3 modes of operation: the barge operation, the rail, and of course, the road mode. This is how a port should be served in every very important port. We need to have multimodal approach to that. Reliance on one mode of evacuation or delivery is disastrous.
The saving grace here is that with the rehabilitation of Section 1, 3, and 4 along the Apapa-Oshodi-Oworonshoki Expressway to reinforced concrete pavements gotten to 75%, the evacuation of cargoes is gradually easing.
It's total for us, and everything is smoothly. We are going smoothly, no problem on the road.
The total length of this Section 4 is about 10.5 kilometers. The travel time also has increased. Before, if you are coming from Apapa and you are going to Ojota, you spend nothing less than 4 hours. But now, you spend less than 15 minutes before you get to Ojota because of the completed section that we have done. It has been opened, and then the commuters, they are happy using it.
The federal government's intervention in Lagos is not just channeled around ease of doing business, but reducing the cost by 30% with a view of increasing source of livelihood.
Yes, Michael, improving the lives of Nigerians has remained the goal of the federal government in the last few years. That's the dividends of democracy. Thanks a lot. Now, let's talk about the oil and gas sector. Despite the effect of COVID-19 pandemic on the global energy markets, Nigeria's determination to navigate and stay afloat in the competitive international market has remained unshakable. This led to the declaration of a decade of gas as part of efforts to drive gas modernization. Correspondent Lydia Sansom reports that key players in the industry scored the sector high in being proactive in the last 6 years.
With oil prices still struggling to rebound from the collapse in demand during the first quarter of 2020, linked with the increasing concerns about climate change and its effect on conventional energy production, experts agree it is difficult to find a bright spot. In the midst of all these challenges, Nigerian oil and gas sector from the upstream, midstream and the downstream had not just continued to thrive, but final investment decisions for critical projects were signed, with work already in progress in the Ajakuta-Kaduna Kano gas pipeline project, an integral part of the Trans-Nigeria gas pipeline, with a capacity to transport about 2.2 billion cubic feet of gas per day. Also, the MPDC Integrated Gas Handling Facility and Liquefied Petroleum Gas Storage and Dispensing Plants inaugurated at Oredo, Edo State, amongst others, support efforts at eliminating gas flaring and process over 200 million standard cubic feet of lean gas to the domestic market per day.
When completed, will provide gas for generation of power and for gas-based industries, which should facilitate the development of new industries and also the revival of moribund industries.
I must say that this is a very transformational project and very good for the integration of this country. I am very proud to be part of this project.
By 2023, NPDC will be the #1 upstream company in this country. In technical ground and in terms of investment that we have seen coming, the FIDs that we know will happen, the Bonga Southwest, Bonga North, the Bossy, and so on, with projects that are lined up, incremental projects that we know that are lined up in the industry, too many for me to mention, but clearly capable of adding the additional 500,000 barrels within the next 2 to 3 years.
To provide an alternative to premium motor spirit as the sole automotive fuel and reduce the huge importation bill of the product, the federal government launched the Auto Gas Initiative.
The Edo State government, the Edo people, and I'm sure the people of Olobo have decided to embrace Nigeria's gas policy.
It's a technical kick-off meeting. And what that means is that it signifies the start of the project. And we'll be having what they call progress report.
We want them to be partners in this project. And you can do this partnership in various ways. So yes, employment, they will have priority around that.
Similarly, the Department of Petroleum Resources launched Nigeria Gas Transportation Network Code in line with the federal government Gas to Power initiative. The Department of Petroleum Resources is taking bold steps to provide more accessibility to electricity generating companies to the Gas Transportation Network Code.
So this is a tremendous progress, and it is going to help the country in so many ways. It will also going to help us as transporters because it will reduce our cost of operation.
The execution of the engineering, procurement and construction contract signals the effective commencement of the detailed design and construction phase of the multi-billion project, which on completion is expected to raise the NLNG production capacity by 35% from the current 22 million tons per annum to 30 million tons per annum. The Ministry of Petroleum Resources came up with 9 delivery priorities from 2019 to 2023. These include eradicating smuggling of petrol across the Nigerian borders, completing gas flare commercialization program, increasing crude oil production to 3 million barrels per day, reducing the cost of crude oil extraction by at least 5%, driving petroleum industry build passage, as well as deep offshore and inland basin, working with private sector operators to increase domestic refining capacity, collaborating with private sector to create a large number of well-paying jobs, implementing strategy towards taking 100 million Nigerians out of poverty.
This project will transform the lives of the people of Kaduna State and will improve its economy. So we're very grateful to the federal government, to Mr. President in particular, for seeing this through.
Key players say to reinvigorate the energy sector and economy, Nigeria must do a lot more when it comes to investment in infrastructure, job creation, and diversification. However, industry players remain frustrated by the delays and inability to sign and pass the petroleum industry bill. They call for fierce sense of urgency in its passage, especially in the era of the energy transition. They are unanimous that the petroleum industry bill needs to be passed, as it allowed energy companies to turn their attention to producing energy that drives economies.
And Lydia Sampson now joins us on the correspondence today to speak further on Nigeria's achievements in the oil and gas sector in the last 6 years. Hello, Lydia. You're welcome to the correspondence.
Thank you for having me, Tessie.
My pleasure. Now, Nigeria's oil and gas sector, talking about the upstream, downstream, the midstream sector, how has it fared over the last 6 years?
Well, in the last 6 years, we can say a lot has been achieved, especially giant strides, like you did pointed out, in the midstream, upstream, downstream, but most importantly lately in gas development. And that's why the nation was actually declared a gas nation rather than an oil and gas nation. But of course, Tessie, that's not to say we are where that the industry is where we want it to be. It's not yet where Nigeria is. It's moving. It's work in progress, but a lot has been achieved. When many countries were already putting final investment decisions on hold, we call them FIDs. Nigeria was signing and actively starting new projects. The famous Ajakuta-Kaduna Kano gas pipeline, the integrated gas handling facility, the auto gas. So many things are in the pipeline, like they say in the industry, while some have already started yielding positive results. But it's not to say we can sit down and clap for ourselves. More still needs to be done. But of course, due to the oil price collapse due to COVID-19, so many things were put on hold. But in the midst of all that, even globally, Nigeria has been acclaimed.
The collapse in the price is a global issue.
There's some good news now. The price has just rebounded. For the first time yesterday, it was $71 per barrel.
News.
After in over 2 years, it's $71 now. So most oil-producing nations are happy, Nigeria inclusive. But in spite of all that, Nigeria globally has been adjudged to be really navigating the challenges well, by the proactive things they've put in place. And Tessie, there's something, you can't talk about the oil and gas without talking about the hitherto secretive nature. But government put in place reforms, and the sector is opening up now. They know they're accountable to the people, unlike in the past where you don't even know what is happening there. And the National Oil Company, which is the NNPC, they've been declaring their accounts and making it open. Now it's just at the tip of a finger for those who want to know what's happening. But in the past, it was like closely knitted, as if it was a cabal, sort of. But the president and this present administration insisted that it can be business as usual. So they brought about many reforms that has made the sector more open.
So talking about transparency.
That is it. That is it. In fact, they acronymed it transparency, accountability, and efficiency. So I think we're on course, but we're not there.
Okay, but the good news is we're on course.
Yes.
Okay, talking about, a lot of efforts to eliminate this gas flaring. Government has invested so much. When do you think this will become a reality?
If you ask me, the integrated gas handling facility in Oredo, Edo State, is already a reality. Because as we speak, it's already providing about 200 million standard cubic feet of gas per day to the market. We're talking about gas. At least the gas is cleaner source of energy, is not as expensive as petrol, and it's even more durable and cleaner. So with what is happening in Oredo now, Nigerians are beginning to see that, okay, it can be done. Take note, the Oredo gas handling facility is completely Nigerian owned by the MPDC. That's a subsidiary of the NNPC. And as we speak, employment, job opportunities have been created there, but it's still work in progress. And as for the issue of gas flaring, the government even have in place a gas commercialization program that's geared towards eliminating gas flaring. And since 2000, the gas flare in Nigeria is reduced, and we are beginning to monetize it. And hopefully, if more Nigerians embrace the use of gas rather than petrol, which is what we use mostly, there will be a shift. And hopefully we'll get there. Gas flare cannot be achieved in a day, but government is already monetizing that. It's part of the achievement that government is talking about in the sector too.
Okay, more talking about the auto gas initiative, which the federal government inaugurated some months ago. Tell us, how about that?
It came into being just to, like we talked about gas already. Nigeria is more of a gas nation now than oil. So most of us, we drive our vehicles using petrol. Petrol is more expensive, and it's not even a cleaner source of energy like gas. So the auto gas is to enable those who are interested to key into the government agenda of monetizing gas to turn their vehicles to gas. And government has said they are willing to do that free for as many as are willing to do that. Kind of a bit expensive to do, but because government is subsidizing it, and it's part of their efforts to make sure that they have the buy-in of Nigerians. And mind you, Tess, if we're able to do that, it will also reduce the cost of importation of petrol. And I forgot to talk about the rehabilitation of the Port Harcourt refinery. One of the major issues in the oil and gas sector also is the issue of importation of petrol, which is gulping millions, in dollars, in hard currency. But government is rehabilitating the Port Harcourt refinery, and it's not the normal overhaul. It's a complete rehabilitation. And they are not, NNPC will not be in charge again. They are bringing in private partnership that will be able to take care of that so that it doesn't collapse. But the auto gas is something that we really, really need to key into. You can use gas for your generator. It lasts longer. It's cleaner.
It's cleaner.
Yeah. You can use it for cooking. We can use that even for industries. So if we're able to key into this auto gas, I believe we begin to see the benefits, and we'll harness our dormant gas resources that we have not been using. So hopefully that's the way to go.
So is it being implemented?
Yes, it is, but I don't think we have the buy-in of many Nigerians. I am talking to you to say I've not converted my car. But we're hoping that we'll have more buy-in of Nigerians. And of course, what government also intends to do, more of the vehicles that will be coming in now
will now be
gas,
so that we don't have to be converting.
Yes. So hopefully, when we have the buy-in of Nigerians, we'll feel the impact more.
I hope you convert yours.
I'm thinking about it seriously.
The delay, in signing and passage of the petroleum industry bill has been a source of concern to so many people. Can you shed more light on that?
Yeah, in fact, it's a clog in the wheel of progress in the oil and gas sector, because it's a very complex and volatile industry, and investors want to make sure that they have a fair, level playing ground, and their investment is secured if they decide to invest. But unfortunately, we are still using the Petroleum Act of 1956. Amendments here and there has been made, but it's still not enough to give clear demarcation of the roles of all key players. So key players and investors are really hoping that the PIB will be passed. Because if the PIB is passed, in fact, so many things that are not very clear in the industry will be cleared. They've been addressed. The issue of host community, which has been an issue in the oil and gas, is properly addressed in the PIB. So we're wondering, 20 years on, it has not been passed. So investors are really, really frustrated, and they're hoping, even though, let's give it to this government, they've tried, they've done, especially this present National Assembly, and they keep giving a commitment that before the end of their tenure, it will be passed. So we're keeping our fingers crossed and praying, because that will really open up the oil and gas sector more than we've ever imagined if the PIB is passed. Many investors are still holding back. They're not sure what to do. And countries that discovered oil after us, they have in place. Yes, the only way an oil and gas industry can completely, truly thrive is if it's deregulated. So, and that is what the PIB will do for us if it is passed.
So many goodies in the oil and gas sector on ground, and more still
and in
coming. And in the pipeline. Thank you so much, Lydia Sampson, for being part of the program today.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Still to come on The Correspondence, farmers in Kano State count their blessings with federal government's intervention on rice farming. Join us again.
The coronavirus, also known as COVID-19, has been declared by the World Health Organization as a global pandemic. While clinical trials are ongoing for a vaccine and a possible cure, there is no known treatment for the coronavirus. Nigeria has recorded some of these cases, and people are advised to take these preventive measures to keep themselves safe and contain the further spread of the virus. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water, or use hand sanitizers all the time. Maintain social distancing. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Practice respiratory hygiene. If you have fever, cough, and difficulty breathing, seek medical care early. Do not panic. Stop the spread of unconfirmed news. Follow the official government news outlets and report all cases immediately. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, Africa's largest television network.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable? Fake news is dangerous, whether you do it for fun or for political gains. Real people can get hurt. Fake news, don't create it, don't spread it.
This is a public service announcement from NTA.
Welcome back. You're still watching The Correspondents. Let's talk about federal government's achievement in agriculture in Kano State. Inefficiency and persistent harvest of losses were in recent past the fate that befell majority of crop farmers, especially at the grassroots. Multi-agency policies and programs of the federal government have gradually changed these tales of woe, leading to efficiency and profitability, especially with reference to rice farming. Correspondent Yahana Suhassan Barrow shares experience of rice revolution in Kano.
The federal government diversification mantra, which seeks to ensure job creation among teeming populace and food sufficiency, has in the last 6 years recorded successes in the country. For instance, Kano, which is blessed with vast fertile land, stands out among its counterparts in meeting the target of the federal government. Mohammed Sani, who is full of praises to the present administration, is a rice farmer who says their party has witnessed value increase compared to how it was years back.
Before the closure of Nigeria border, we sell our paddy at 5,000 naira, but now we sell it at 10,000 naira and above.
This has led to the proliferation of rice milling factories ranging from small, medium and large-scale factories in the states. In 2020 dry season farming, the Association of Rice Farmers in the state was able to recover more than 600 metric tons of paddy, which were sold to millers at a subsidized rate.
Rice production in Kano State has drastically improved in terms of production and the strength of the farmers who involve themselves in the rice production. The number has increased. So rice production in Kano double up. Before we are producing about 1.5 million metric tons of rice here in Kano, but now it's over 2.7 million metric tons of rice, which is, there is a lot of percentage. The percentage has increased a lot.
I can recall that Nigeria was spending over $1 billion naira daily to support rice bills importation. But today we are not spending even 1 naira. This is a very great achievement to the country.
Over the few years, like sometime in 2014, we've not had any rice mill, a very giant rice mill in Kano, apart from, I think, 1 or 2. But now we have a growing population in the rice business, and we have almost nothing less than 20 rice mills, giant rice mills, which are in full capacity. So I would say we have developed into that stage, and hopefully right now we're going into agri-tech, technology platform for agriculture, and we're expanding the whole business, and inshallah it will be better in the next few years, and we'll be able to feed the nation.
Apart from input support and training to farmers, the federal government also came up with a policy of Nigerian border closure in 2018 to promote local production, reduce spendings on importation, and ensure value for what farmers produce.
value chain of rice, it has been affected, so the growth has been stimulated in that angle. Economic activities have increased, and so all the resultant positive effects from that increase are being generated in the economy. Generally, the economy has been stimulated with this local rice production, or Nigerian rice production. The farmers, in fact, the number of rice mills we are seeing, various categories, small scale, medium scale, and large scale rice mills, have even, or are even putting pressures on the rice farmers themselves. The demand is so high from the rice millers.
With this development, according to economic expert, Nigeria will not only be sufficient in food, but will also record increase in its economy.
That's a fact, Yohanasu. Nigeria is indeed on the path to achieving food sufficiency, and it is a journey of progress. We'll get there. Many thanks. And that's the correspondence this week. Thanks so much for being part of it. We hope to see you again next week, same time. And a quick reminder that COVID-19 is still around us. Continue to abide by government regulations and safety protocols. And more importantly, get vaccinated. Take responsibility and stay safe. Bye for now.
I never get this kind of thing, or I hear it.
There was this broadcast on Villa Updates, which I'm part of, and I got the information there that we should apply for survivor fund.
I thought it was a scam, but truly it wasn't a scam.
To my great surprise, we actually got a lot of 30,000. I have 5 staff, including the making 6. We got a lot of 30,000. Like 3 weeks later, this is the first time I'm getting anything from this government. Even from past governments, I have never gotten anything from them.
It was a great relief for us because during the COVID-19, things were so tough.
I really thank the government for this great gesture because it has helped a lot.
Executive Council approves Land Infrastructure Swap Initiative of FCT administration.
INEC unveils new policy units, fixes dates for governorship election in 2 states.
Anymore in Nigeria, only polling units.
Service chiefs in Borno State ahead of President Buhari's official visit.
On Good Morning Nigeria today, our focus is on Nigeria's medicine security.
Now, Nigeria, like other countries in the world, is battling with numerous health challenges ranging from communicable and non-communicable diseases.
And hence, governments have continued to make efforts to provide necessary medicaments to manage the diseases and equally improve access to medicines in the country.
Indeed, Kyrian, but however, getting the required and standard drugs to manage such ailments is still a challenge in Nigeria.
This is mainly because the number of local pharmaceutical manufacturing companies lack the capacity to produce what Nigeria needs to address the health challenges.
And reports indicate that over 70% of Nigeria's drug requirements are imported, mostly from China and India. But despite the fact that Nigeria is blessed with thousands of medicinal herbs.
And similarly, the nation also relies on imported active pharmaceutical ingredients as well as equipment used in drug manufacturing, thereby affecting Nigeria's medicine security.
And medical experts believe that ensuring national sufficiency and drug security is critical to managing diseases, especially as the world is grappling with COVID-19 pandemic.
So, where are we in terms of Nigeria's medicine security? What are the challenges militating against attaining medicine security? And what collaboration is needed to promote and encourage it? These are some of the issues we intend to tackle as we discuss Nigeria's medicine security on today's edition of Good Morning Nigeria. Thank you indeed for having time to join us. My name is Kyrian Umayo.
And I am Juma Yusuf, welcoming you to Good Morning Nigeria. We are live in Abuja, and in the course of the program, we have our complimentary segments like newspaper review, business, and the rest. But first, let's take the morning highlights of the news with Comfort Amadou. Comfort, good morning.
Good morning, Jume and Kyrian. Good morning, Nigeria. Here's the morning news. Federal Executive Council has approved land infrastructure swap initiative of the Federal Capital Territory Administration. FCT Minister Mohamed Musa Bello announced this while briefing journalists after a meeting of the council.
And also changes made. The Federal Executive Council approved that we now should continue with the land swap initiative on the basis of amendments to the procedure as well as new safeguards introduced so that investors, the FCT, that is the government, as well as off-takers will be protected.
Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, will no longer create voting points. INEC Chairman Professor Mahmoud Yakubu stated this while announcing the conversion of more than 56,000 voting points to polling units.
For subsequent elections, beginning from the Anambra State Governorship election, holding on 6 November 2021, there will be no voting points anymore in Nigeria. Only polling units.
The Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Rabo, has restated the commitment of the Nigerian military to end the war against terrorism in northeast Nigeria and accelerate the return of lasting peace to the zone. General Rabo gave the assurance when he led service chiefs and the Inspector General of Police on operational visit to headquarters of Theatre Command Joint Task Force, Operation Hadenkai in Maiduguri.
The war in the northeast against ISWAP and Boko Haram will end. The greatest challenge is that peace has not returned to the entire northeast. And that's precisely what I've just spoken to, that we will do everything possible to bring it to an end.
And President Muhammadu Buhari is expected in Borno State today on an official visit. To this end, all necessary arrangements have been put in place in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, to welcome the president.
The state government, is well prepared to receive Mr. President. I think we have every reason to come out and tell Mr. President thank you.
More than 95% of our preparation is done, and it is expected that after the enrollment, we are going to enroll at least 3,000 to 4,000 students.
So celebrating the African child this year comes with formation of common fronts by parents to provide more security at home and schools. This is coming from the Nigerian First Lady at a gathering in Abuja to mark the 2021 Day of the African Child.
This day gives us another opportunity to mobilize our efforts for the sake of children's welfare and promote children's rights to a wider audience. It is also important to note that the United Nations Convention on the Right of Child classified the child's rights under 4 broad themes: survival, development, protection, and participation.
In other news, Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed defended the need for the amendment of the National Broadcasting Commission (NBC) Act. The minister appeared before the House of Representatives Committee on Information, National Orientation, Ethics and Values 2 days public hearing.
Very soon, NBC will need to be paying its own salaries, and will have to pay for all its overheads and all its operations. So if that is the way the executive is thinking, then it will be a drawback. If we now pay everything into the Treasury single account, it means then that the government then will have to pay our salaries and pay all our needs. And this would defeat the objective of the federal government that certain parastatals should contribute more to the revenue.
The All Progressives Congress has congratulated President Muhammadu Buhari, who is also the Minister of Petroleum Resources, for flagging of the construction of the $10 billion Nigerian liquefied natural gas Train 7 project. A statement by the National Secretary, Caretaker and Extraordinary Convention Planning Committee, Senator John James, indicates that the project is expected to take Nigerians' capacity to process its abundant gas deposit to about 30 million metric tons annually. This is in addition to boosting Nigerians' foreign exchange earning and job creation. And Nigeria has embarked on other gas utilization projects, which include the National Gas Expansion Program, the construction of the 614-kilometer Jakarta-Kaduna Kano gas pipeline, and the auto gas policy. Now to health, where the Nigerian Center for Disease Control and CDC has confirmed 8 new cases of COVID-19 in Nigeria as at 16th of June 2021. The breakdown of the new infections shows that Rivers State has 4, FCT 3, while Kwara State has 1 new case. Nigeria has 167,103 confirmed cases of COVID-19, out of which 163,525 have been discharged, while 2,117 died of the virus. That's the news for now. Good morning, Nigeria continues with Kirian and Jumai right after this break. Good morning.
Here today, on tomorrow. Can volatile like the water. And you promise what you don't know. Sometimes it's right and then it's so wrong. Them go do like say them wise. Go promise you the world. My brother all now worship. Up all on no be open eye. I see no be water. Khaki no be letter.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
He's falling sick so frequently, either fever or stomachache. I keep him away from junk food.
She also feeds me apples. She says an apple a day keeps...
If you want to keep germs away, then also wash your hands regularly with Dettol soap.
Meaning?
Germs and disease spread through the hand also. For this, use Dettol soap. Dettol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Dettol soap is endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association. Be Dettol sure.
join us on this mission?
Yes, but how?
Just one question for you. How do you keep your toilet clean?
I use regular detergent and bleach for washing and removing yellow stains. I have been using it for years.
Oh, madam, the regular detergents and bleach are used for washing clothes.
To disinfect your toilet properly, you need Harpic 10X. It is specially made for germs and stains remover. Harpic sticker formula settles on stains and gives 10 times better cleaning compared to regular detergent and bleach.
Wow!
It's a farming season, this is a call to farmers. We have a great challenge in feeding our nation, a proud and great country. Let us shun all kind of violence. Let's put our differences aside. Let our diversity unite. Let us unite against insecurity. We can achieve food security. Let us uphold our value, make this country great again, and feed all our nations together.
This message was brought to you by Faruk Rabi Mudi, the National President, All Farmers Association of Nigeria, AFAN.
The much anticipated UEFA Euro 2021 is finally here. Can Portugal defend the title they won 4 years ago as they face world champions France, Europe giants Germany, Spain, Italy and England? Catch all the action via live transmission, in-depth studio analysis, fixtures, results, updates, and lots more on NTA, Africa's largest TV network. For sponsorship and advert placement, contact Bola on 080-37-044-286 or Idris on 080-34-633-644. This broadcast is proudly brought to you by NTA in partnership with Media Business Solutions, MBS Sports.
The counsel of our fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Welcome back. Experts call for more proactive measures by major palm farmers towards improving growth in production and revenue generation in Nigeria. Details of these and more on Business News.
Nigerian's crude palm oil import from Malaysia, the world's second largest producer, has declined by 20.6% year-on-year as local production rises on increased investment. Latest data from Malaysian Palm Oil Council shows Nigeria crude palm oil import from Malaysia declined by 95,621 metric tons in the first 4 months in 2020 to 75,948 metric tons in the same period in 2021. Experts say the sharp drop can be attributed to the ongoing massive investments by plantation owners in the country, boosting local production in the last 5 years.
Adequate land needed to be secured. 2, adequate technology needed to be applied because of soil, because of seedling, because of yield. Okay? And then 3, adequate volumes needed to be produced so that it can now turn into an industrial oil.
In the equities market, trades closed Wednesday trading session in positive territory, reversing Tuesday losses and boosting investors' sentiment. The all-share index climbed 0.15% to close at 38,564.70 basis points, and equities capitalization at 20.09 trillion naira, 302.7 million shares worth 2.8 billion naira were traded in 4,387 deals.
Comfort Amolu there with business news. Up ahead on Good Morning Nigeria is newspaper review.
And our newspaper reviewer, Bayo Tiobe, is in the studio. Good morning, Bayo.
Thank you, Juma.
Good
Good
morning.
Good to see you too.
Yeah, Bayo,
good morning,
you're
Nigeria.
welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good morning, Nigeria.
All right, let's begin with the Daily Trust newspaper from top to bottom. Why Buhari's directive on cattle routes is necessary, possible. That's by Dr. Momale. On page 3, Gani Adams writes U.S. others over insecurity in Southwest. It's on page 7. Press Council bill reps public hearing may affect press freedom and good governance. That's according to MPN. That's on page 4. Now, the lead story on the Daily Trust for this Thursday, 774,000 jobs, thousands of participants yet to get stipend. With the 3 riders, few receive 1 month allowance instead of 3. We were shortchanged, paid in cash, banks delaying payments, as according to NDE. Now, the photo story is that of state-by-state distribution of new polling units as announced by INEC. After 25 years, INEC creates 56,872 new polling units across the nation. It's on page 31. 2023, why Masari opted for retirement. Ganduje active politics. It's on page 31. On page 6, we have gunmen raise Imo lawmaker's house, behead guard. 5 security operatives, many bandits killed in Zamfara. It's on page 6 of the Daily Trust newspaper. Jimmy.
Yes, we now have the Nation newspaper, and just above the masthead, ex-bank MD Atuche jailed 6 years for 25.7 billion naira fraud. The details on page 5. NPAN excluded from NPC bill public hearing. You find that still on page 5. CDS order service chiefs in Borno ahead of Buhari's visit today, as on page 4. Below the masthead, we have Adamawa Senator inaugurates boreholes, transformers. You find details on page 27. Presidency, PDP governors seeking more cash to blow. With a rider, they are pressurizing NMPC to fund their profligacy. You find the details on page 4. And we see the picture story there, the resident electoral commissioners in the Southwest with INEC chairman Mahmoud Yakubu there in the picture story. And still on INEC, INEC removes 749 polling units from palaces and mosques. With rider, Lagos, Kano top in agencies 846,000 new polling units. And at the bottom plate of the Nation newspaper, 73 suspects paraded in Abuja, Kaduna, Rivers orders. Details on page 3. Katsina to prioritize education. You find that on page 27. Bio.
Thank you, Jume. Let's start with the parading. The operatives of the Nigerian police have smashed a syndicate allegedly to be responsible for vandalizing of rail track in the north central and northwestern part of the country. The coordinate intelligence led to the police to arrest 3 persons and uncover a warehouse in Boku in Benue State. Vandalized rail materials like racks, wear shields, rail pullers, and others were uncovered. The Force Public Relations Officer, CP Frank Mba, added that police also intercepted 3 trucks loaded with vandalized rail items along Ikom Ibom Junction in Cross River State. Also paraded were a 6-man armed robbery and kidnapping gang syndicate linked to various criminal activities in Ondo, Ekiti, and other parts of the southwest. They include a 53-year-old man who also supply arms to that criminal gang. Meanwhile, the Minister of Transportation has revealed that Nigeria has repaid about 150 million out of the 2 billion loan borrowed from China for rail construction. The Honorable Minister of Transportation, Rumituya Amechi, clarified that the federal government has only borrowed for the Kaduna, Abuja, and the Lagos-Ibadan rail lines. The Lagos-Ibadan was for Lagos and Ibadan, 1.5 billion was borrowed. And for the Kaduna, Abuja, the administration of President Goodluck Jonathan borrowed $500 million. But the project was completed by this current administration through budgetary provisions. And so there was no additional borrowing on that. Similarly, at the Itakpe-Warri rail line, this was completed from budgetary allocation without any borrowing. However, the minister says that the contract with the Chinese is being threatened. This is because the House of Representatives had moved a motion and possibly created doubt in the minds of these partners. It says that the House had criticized the loan agreement and calls for a review of the loan during a plenary on 12th of May. And this has caused and there was call also for cancellation of the latest ones. The House Committee Chairman, Nicholas Osai, had alleged that there were dangerous clauses in the loan. And this has caused doubt in the minds of the Chinese partners, and they are very reluctant about it. But in the meantime, the Chinese partners are still in charge driving the rail services, both in the Kaduna, Abuja, as well as the Lagos-Ibadan. However, the Minister of Information clarifies that once the major areas of operation are ticked and clarified, the Nigerians will take over. Let's go to the story that Kirian read about Newspaper Proprietors Association. I think you also read that from the Nation. The Nigeria Newspaper Proprietors Association says the House of Representatives public hearing, which started yesterday over amendment to laws for which it has oversight, is a possibility that it will amend the Press Council law to have serious consequences for freedom of expression. The president of the Proprietors Association, Malam Kabir Yusuf, has called upon media workers and their organizations to pay attention to the hearing. The public hearing notice has been in the public domain. It is an initiative of the House Committee on Information, National Orientation, Ethics and Value to amend bills of agencies under its foresight. There are the bills for the NBC, the National Film and Video Censors Board, the Advertisers Practitioners Council of Nigeria, APCON. Operators Association had challenged the constitutionality of the law establishing the NPC as far back as 1999. However, the Court of Appeal ruled that the law establishing the Press Council to regulate the print media is constitutional, and the print media indeed can be regulated. The current review of the bill is to ensure that the Press Council, which has been held in stupor for a long time, can effectively function. And the duty is to use the code of ethics of journalists to hold journalists accountable to what they do. Just as journalists hold everybody in society, government accountable, they too should be held accountable.
So what is the need for this amendment by the House of Reps?
Well, these laws were passed, some of them as far back as 1992, some of them as far back as 1999. And the tendency is laws need to be updated periodically. And the initiatives come from two ways. Sometimes it comes from the agencies themselves. Other times it comes from concerns expressed by members of the National Assembly. So it can come in as a member's bill or sometimes from a private member's bill.
Okay. All right. Well, we have always been discussing the issue of insecurity in the country. This is of 5 security operatives, many bandits killed in Zamfara. I think that the president's pronouncement on taking the war to the bandits is actually yielding fruit, because
positive results.
Exactly, in a situation where many of them are really taken down. That's a healthy development, if you ask me.
Yes, the Sokoto-Gusau Road, there were threats by bandits and armed robbers who were masquerading and harassing travelers. So a combination of the operatives of the security agencies succeeded in clearing that highway. And so people now have freedom of movement. But there's no gainsaying the fact that the Air Force too has joined, and there is total taking the war to the hideouts of the bandits and kidnappers. And you will recall that, in fact, 2 days ago, there were hues and cry from Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association that some of their cows were killed in the operations. And the Commissioner for Information in Benue State, I remember, had to come with clarification that the operation was between the border between Nasarawa and Benue, and there were no human or animal casualties, according to her.
According to him. All right, this issue of 774,000 jobs issue, where there are complaints that a few receive 1 month allowance instead of 3, and others are saying that they have been shortchanged. It does appear that there are discrepancies with respect to the implementation of that policy.
Well, it's 774,000 jobs, because it's supposed to be 1,000 per each local government area for each of the 774 local government areas.
Are they supposed to pay allowances or salary?
Well, there is stipends of 20,000 that is supposed to be paid. It's not salary. If it is salary, minimum wage is 30,000 naira.
Yes.
So this is a stipend of 20,000 naira for social construction works, repairing roads, culverts, clearing gutters, and a few other things. The whole initiative is to help youths who unfortunately are idle, they don't have anything to do, to get them at least periodically engaged for those periods for which they can earn something. That will at least induce them into making contributions to their own immediate community and also get something out of it. But it has always, from the outset, it has been dodged by controversy. It was an initiative that was put at the domain of the Nigerian Directorate of Employment, and with the supervision of the Minister of State for Labor and Employment. But there was a disagreement initially with members of the National Assembly, and that caused the delay. But now that it is on, I think they are waiting to get their acts together. People who have worked will eventually get their due, but apparently there are some bottlenecks, and some of them are still demanding that they are owed.
Yes, and INEC is making some changes, with...
Well, INEC has been making changes about polling units, and now the positive initiatives is that certain categories of places which apparently can be susceptible to undermining electoral processes are now being discounted as polling units. This includes areas of palaces, mosques, and so many other places. As far as acceptable, they now are trying to identify public places as polling units. But INEC has also given indication about elections for Ekiti and Osun. Ekiti now has a date for 8 June 2022, and that of Osun election is 16th of July 2022.
Okay, down to the editorial. It's on the strengthening FDI into Nigeria.
Strengthening
FDI into Nigeria.
Foreign direct investment. Certainly, foreign direct investment is needed. There's no nation which is an island. If a nation has potential, as Nigeria is greatly endowed, there is a tendency for foreigners to come to want and invest in the country. That will go in a long way in providing employment, in providing succor, and also development. However, we are faced with challenges of insecurity, and no foreign direct investor will want to bring his investment into a place that is not secure. So the critical challenge that we need to do, and for which bold initiatives have now been put in place, is to redress the massive insecurity in the country. We need, as citizens, to help the security agencies, to help them to protect us, so that our environment will be safe, and foreign investors will be encouraged to come and put their money here. Where there is insecurity, there is a general tendency for foreign investment to take flight and leave that economy.
All right, Bayo, we will stop it there. Thank you indeed for your analysis. We hope to see you again tomorrow.
Thank you.
For more on newspaper review. You're watching Good Morning Nigeria on the network service of the NTA. We'll take a short break now. When we return, we shall be focusing our attention on the main issue for our conversation today, which is medicine security in Nigeria.
Customer, the NCC has directed that all unlinked SIM be disconnected by the 30th of June for not registering or providing your NIN to be linked with your SIM. To avoid disconnection, kindly register for and link your NIN at any Airtel outlet. If you're already registered, simply dial *346# to get your 11-digit NIN. Then dial *121*1# to link it with your Airtel number. Airtel cares.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
He's falling sick so frequently, either fever or stomachache. I keep him away from junk food.
She also feeds me apples. She says an apple a day keeps...
If you want to keep germs away, then also wash your hands regularly with Dettol soap.
Meaning?
Germs and disease spread through the hand also. For this, use Dettol soap. Dettol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Dettol soap is endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association. Be Dettol sure.
As Oni of Ife, as someone who cares about the well-being and safety of our people, it's time for each and every one of us to realize that COVID-19 is real and it has killed millions of people around the world. Scientists have developed this vaccine. The vaccine is safe for everyone and it contains no microchip, nor can it alter our DNA. However, we must continue to stay safe and stay clean, wear face masks, clean our hands on a regular basis, and try as much as possible to avoid a very large crowd and gathering. For those who choose to be vaccinated, it will go a long way in protecting yourself and your loved ones from COVID-19.
The Council of Our Fathers.
I will urge and advise our younger generation to use talent and brain to sort out problems, not arms.
Nigerian youths, let's build our nation together.
Welcome back, and to begin our discussion on the subject matter, let's take this background report put together by Joseph Austin.
Quality medication is an integral part of healthcare system aiding treatment of ailments. However, assessing medicine to deal with communicable and non-communicable diseases in Nigeria has been a huge burden for the healthcare sector, considering the fact that most of the drugs being used in managing diseases come from abroad. Reports have it that 70% of the medicines used in Nigeria and other African countries are imported from China and India. In addition, Nigeria also relies heavily on other countries for active pharmaceutical ingredients, equipment, and resources needed for medicine manufacturing. Apart from the huge demand on foreign exchange, the country's agencies have continued to battle importation of fake, counterfeited, and substandard medicines finding way into the country's supply chain. To check this and improve medicine security in Nigeria, many have called on the local manufacturing industries to step up production to meet the needs of the country under stringent monitoring and regulations. Though Nigeria is endowed with thousands of medicinal plants to be turned into potential drugs for management of diseases, the nation is yet to fully take advantage of that to encourage medicine security. Experts believe boosting local production of medicine can contribute to address them to ensure medicine security. These questions will be engaging our guests on Good Morning Nigeria, who will provide answers.
And to discuss the topic, first let me introduce here in our Abuja studio pharmacist Zainab Judo Sharif, Director and Head of Alternative and Complementary Medicine, Federal Ministry of Health. Thank you, Zainab. Unfortunately, she's a regular on this program whenever we are talking to her. You're welcome.
Thank you. It's just that you need to add traditional.
Traditional.
All right, and via Zoom, we from Omar here, actually, we have Mazi Sam Uhuabunwa, the president of Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria. Mazi Sam Uhuabunwa, it's good to have you join us today on Good Morning Nigeria.
Good morning, it's a pleasure. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, guys.
Right. We also have two guests that will be joining us from Lagos in the course of this program. But for now, let's get started with the guests already seated. One here in the studio, Zainab is here, and of course, Mazi Samu Habongwa is in Omar here. Yeah, Jimmy.
Yes, exactly. Zainab, we've been talking, I think, numerous times about medicine and medicine security. What actually does it imply?
Yeah, thank you. That's $1 million question. But for the purpose of clear understanding of our viewers, let's begin by defining what are medicines. One, we want to understand simply from what you have shown in the introductory aspect. Medicines are chemical substances produced to use either prevention, mitigation, or treatment and diagnosis of ailments, both either in man or animals. However, it's important to know that where are the sources of these medicines? In God's creation, He gave us some basic natural sources of medicines. And these natural sources, most of the common ones we know. Do you know air is a source of medicine? You breathe in and you breathe out. So because it's free gift, so you have that security of that aspect of medicine. Water, too, is a source of medicine. You need, even in the production of medicines, we need to get the right quality of water. So we need to have water security, too, to be able to ensure that our water is good. And then, common animals. There are some animals that are used to produce medicines, like insulin. And, of course, the almighty plants, medicinal plants, which are low-hanging fruits that can be used to produce medicines. Furthermore, for the purpose of clarification again, medicine can either be from plant origin, which I have said, or extracted from plants. Cinchona, quinine was extracted from cinchona bark. So that medicinal plant of cinchona bark is a source of chloroquine. That is one. And number two, photocopies. You take the structure of the natural entity and you analyze it in the lab through experts to be able to produce that similar type of medicine from the natural origin. Finally, in the lab, there is a lot of laboratory scientists working to be able to produce medicine synthesis. This is the process. So with these diverse ways of producing medicine, Nigeria has no option to look at the one that has more advantage nearest to it in the terms of low-hanging fruits. You know that you have just said 70% to 80% of these medicines are imported. It gives us, we pharmacists, is worrisome because that is what we are trained. I was trained to produce drugs. I was trained to dispense drugs. I was trained to analyze drugs. But I feel not too happy if I'm not given the opportunity to be able to develop the local content to join the League of Nations. Like China, they produce natural drugs. They go further to produce synthetic drugs. So they are all, even using animals. They use so many animals you cannot believe. Wild gecko, rats, frogs, to produce some medicines. And you cannot say by one way or the other, you have not consumed those medicines. That is China. Go to India. India too, they have advantage. As of 2008, India was exporting 32 APIs, like you said, active pharmaceutical ingredients. And it was generating $2 billion then locally from sales of its own synthetic drugs. So where are we? I think there's a need for that. And I'm glad that the experts are there. We have the researchers, which will be able to analyze. We have our president, who is being a manufacturer himself. So I think there will be a comprehensive information at the end of and we pray that the next level, because you have said, we have come here so many times, But I will appreciate that with this pandemic of COVID-19, we have no option, and government has taken positive steps. Maybe in the course of this discussion, I will enumerate those ones.
All right, you've just given us clearly, you know, what it means to have medicine security in a nation. We've just been informed that our other guests in Lagos are seated at the moment. And first, let's introduce Dr. Obi Adigwe. Dr. Obi Adigwe is the Director General, Nigerian Institute of Pharmaceutical Research and Development. So you're welcome to the program.
Thank you, Kirian, and good to see you too, Jume. It's a pleasure to be here once again to speak with Nigerians about medicine security.
Also in the Lagos studio is the Executive Secretary, Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Group of Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, Frank Moneme. Frank is also a pharmacist with a specialization in market access, consummate advocate for local pharmaceutical manufacturing and medicine security in Nigeria. Frank, it's good to have you.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to make a case for medicine security in Nigeria.
Immediately, and of course, to take us back to the very beginning, if you like, until the mid-20th century, some decades ago, most developing countries like Nigeria, you know, only imported finished pharmaceuticals, dosage forms such as suspension, syrups, tablets, capsules, and of course parenteral preparations, which were all then imported by multinational pharmaceutical companies and of course some wealthy indigenous entrepreneurs who could engage in the importation of drugs. But all that changed with time. Lead us into the developmental trajectory of the pharmaceutical industry in Nigeria. I'm talking to Frank. And of course, let us also know your understanding of medicine security for a nation.
Thank you once again. Like I said, it's always a pleasure to be here to make a case for medicine security. As a matter of fact, the medicine security has turned out to be a buzzword, but interestingly, medicine security was conceptualized by Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Group of Manufacturers Association of Nigeria. It was then in the time of the immediate past chairman of the group, Dr. Oke Abba, and now the immediate past executive secretary. Interestingly, I'm sitting here with him, Dr. Obi Adigwe. It was conceptualized with a view to speak to policymakers and government officials and stakeholders on the need to pay attention to the industry so that they can close the gap in medicine security. As a matter of fact, medicine security, in a simple way for us, argues that except the people or a nation or a country exerts sufficient input on how the medicines they consume are produced, unless there is they exert sufficient input on how those medicines are produced, access to safe, access to quality and affordable medicines will continue to be a mirage. It will continue to be rhetoric. In fact, in end-to-end distribution of those products from product development to finished product. And that's the concept of, basically the concept of medicine security. And if medicine security is not actually taken care of, even sustainable development goals cannot be guaranteed. The pharmaceutical sector has been playing active role in closing this gap, even some companies since 1944. So when we talk about the role that the pharma industry have been playing in doing this, dates back to the 1944s. Of course, some companies started in the 60s. Some companies started in the 80s. And I can tell you there was even a time when Nigerian pharma companies were exporting products globally to close gap in access to medicine in even other countries. And of course, we all know that to time there were economic downturn, that some of these multinationals left, some of them left Nigeria. However, that Nigerians, the patriotic Nigerians, have stayed forth, been very and I can tell you that the local pharmaceutical sector has evolved. Many companies are building greenfield facilities to ensure that that Nigerians that are not found wanting in those basic healthcare, life-saving medicines. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your opening comments. Now, let me now join Dr. Obi Adigwe. He has outlined some issues where some countries have left Nigeria to other countries, reasons why you will be able to explain. But let's talk about research and development here in Nigeria. We have more than 1,000 plants and roots that can be manufactured into medicine in Nigeria. And how have you been able to, skip the hurdles of having a fully functional research and development for medicine here in Nigeria? And how do we sustain and develop our medicine so that Nigerians can take medicines produced in Nigeria by Nigerians, and that works for Nigeria?
Thank you very much, Jume, for that question. In your intro, one of your correspondents questioned the capacity of manufacturers in Nigeria to produce quality medicines that will be adequate for consumption of Nigerians. I can tell you categorically that in terms of capacity, there is no question as regards whether Nigerian manufacturers can fulfill the needs of the Nigerian population. Frank, the executive secretary of PMG Man, let the cat out of the bag